The galaxy had always looked down on humans. To the alien empires, humanity was nothing more than a small, chaotic species living on a blue planet at the edge of the Milky Way. They called humans weak, disorganized, and unpredictable. They laughed at humanity's wars, its struggles, and even its small victories. Yet humans were watching, quietly learning, and preparing for the day when the galaxy would realize its mistake. On the edge of the Cepheus Arm, aboard the massive starship SS Valiant, Admiral Thane stood at the command deck, staring into the endless sea of stars. He had spent decades studying the moves of alien powers, predicting their attacks and preparing for the war that everyone else thought would never come. His jaw tightened as the comms officer relayed the latest intelligence. "Sir," said the officer, a glowing-eyed alien named Virel, whose voice always carried a strange mixture of respect and fear. "Our scanners detect an enormous fleet. They are converging on the human colonies. Their numbers. It's unprecedented." Thane's eyes did not leave the holographic display showing the approaching armada. "Numbers mean nothing," he said quietly, almost to himself. Then he turned to Virel, his voice sharp and calm. "Prepare the dark matter fleet for deployment. It's time humanity reminds the galaxy who we are." The dark matter fleet was humanity's secret, kept hidden for decades. While other species relied on conventional weapons and predictable energy drives, humans had learned to harness dark matter, the mysterious substance that made up much of the universe but had always been considered untouchable. Their scientists had found a way to stabilize it for propulsion and weaponry. Ships could move faster than any known alien craft, strike with unimaginable force, and vanish without warning. It was dangerous, unstable, and terrifying, and humanity had mastered it. Back on Earth, families were oblivious to the storm approaching. Children played in sunlit streets, their laughter filling parks and courtyards. But in the command centers, generals and admirals were not laughing. They moved with precision and urgency, knowing that in the next few hours, the galaxy would witness something no one had ever imagined. The full might of a species they had dismissed as insignificant. Captain Mara Liu, one of the fleet commanders, walked among her crew. Her voice carried calm authority as she spoke to humans and aliens alike. "Tonight we face those who think they can erase us from existence. They believe we are fragile, unworthy, and weak, but they are wrong. Humanity survives where others fail. We endure when others perish, and tonight we fight not only for ourselves but for every life that has ever believed in hope, in courage, in survival." Her words were not filled with hatred, but with determination. The crew felt it deep in their bones, the quiet, unstoppable fire that had carried humans through countless battles, countless near deaths, and countless betrayals. They had fought against nature, against disease, and against odds so impossible that alien races would have surrendered long ago, and they had survived. Always. As the SS Valiant left the orbit of Earth and jumped into hyperspace, Thane reflected on what humanity had endured. They had been attacked countless times, entire colonies had been burned, and still humans rebuilt. Alien empires had tried to enslave them, cheat them, and wipe them out, yet humanity had grown stronger with every blow. Other species had their advanced technology, their political alliances, their perfect strategies. But humans had something else, a storm inside them that refused to break, that refused to bow, that refused to accept defeat. The dark matter fleet shimmered into existence, a vast armada of ships that pulsed with dark energy, almost alive. Each vessel was capable of turning entire fleets to dust in moments. And yet, every human aboard carried the weight of the moral choice. Power was not for cruelty, it was for survival. Humanity could destroy the galaxy, but they would choose to act with purpose, to fight for life, and to remind the universe that they were not to be underestimated. In the quiet moments before the first strike, Admiral Thane looked out at the stars one last time. He remembered Earth, the soft laughter of children, the warmth of sunlight, the smell of rain on the soil. This was what they were fighting for. Not conquest, not revenge, but survival, dignity, and the right to exist in a galaxy that had always looked down on them. "Sir," Varel said, voice trembling slightly. "The fleet is ready." Thane's face hardened. "Then let them come," he said, his voice carrying across the deck. "Let them see what they created by underestimating humanity. Tonight the galaxy will learn that humans are not weak. Tonight humanity becomes the storm they cannot survive." The stars outside seemed to shiver as if in warning, and deep in the dark void the humans waited, calm yet unstoppable, ready to unleash the force that would forever change the galaxy. Across the human colonies, an unusual tension filled the air. Alerts rang in every city, every spaceport, every command center. Humans had always faced danger, but this time it was different. The galaxy's greatest empires, long confident in their dominance, were moving toward Earth as if ready to extinguish it entirely. And yet for the first time fear mingled with pride. Humans were not waiting to be destroyed. They were preparing to show the universe the strength it had so casually underestimated. Captain Mara Liu stood on the bridge of the SS Valiant, looking out into the dark void. Her crew moved with precision and calm determination, each action a testament to years of training and discipline. She could see the tension in their faces, the mixture of fear and resolve. Humans were not fearless, but they were unstoppable. They turned fear into focus, panic into strategy, and despair into action. "Report," Mara said, her voice steady, echoing across the bridge. "Alien fleets are converging from multiple vectors," said Lieutenant Kaur, a young but skilled human officer. "They expect our colonies to fall. They believe we will panic." Mara shook her head, her dark hair brushing against her shoulders. "Then they have underestimated humanity again," she said softly, almost to herself. "They have no idea what we are capable of." On distant colonies, families were evacuating. Children clung to parents, and the elderly whispered prayers that had long since lost their audience among the stars. Yet even in fear there was hope. Human ingenuity and resilience had always shone brightest in moments of crisis. Scientists finalized the last checks on dark matter stabilizers. Engineers ran systems at maximum capacity. Pilots ran simulations over and over until their reflexes were sharper than any alien targeting system. In the command deck of the SS Valiant, Mara gathered her officers around the central hologram. It displayed the alien fleet's thousands of ships converging like a living storm. She placed her hand on the hologram, almost touching the vast armada. "This is not just a fight for survival," she said, her eyes scanning every officer in the room. "It is a message. Humanity will not be bowed. Humanity will not be erased. Tonight the galaxy will witness the fire we carry inside us." The room was silent. Every officer, human and alien alike, felt the weight of her words. Viral, the glowing-eyed alien aide, nodded slowly. "Captain," he said, "we may be the first to see what humans can do. I did not understand before, but now, I think I finally do." Mara smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and sorrow. "It is not enough to survive, Virel. We must be precise. We must be unstoppable. But we are not cruel. Power is not our weapon. It is our responsibility." Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Thane addressed the assembled leaders of the Terran Alliance. His voice carried over the comms to every colony. "The enemy believes they can erase us. They believe we are weak. But humanity is the storm they cannot survive. Our fleet, our people, our will. These are stronger than any weapon they wield. Tonight we fight for every life, every dream, every star we call home. Tonight, humanity becomes more than a species. It becomes a force the galaxy will never forget." The announcement rippled through space, reaching humans in orbiting colonies and on remote worlds. Soldiers gripped their weapons tighter. Civilians held their loved ones closer. Engineers worked faster, their hands moving with a combination of fear and hope. Humanity was not just preparing for battle. They were preparing to show the universe what it meant to never surrender. As the SS Valiant and the Dark Matter fleet approached the front lines, Mara took one last moment to herself. She closed her eyes and remembered her homeworld. The soft winds across open fields, the warmth of sunlight on her face, the laughter of children playing under the stars. This was what they were fighting for. Not revenge, not conquest, but the right to exist, the right to dream, and the right to protect those who could not fight for themselves. The fleet pulsed with dark energy, a living embodiment of humanity's resolve. Ships hummed in unison, engines vibrating like a heartbeat across the void. Every pilot, every officer, every human aboard felt it. The universe was about to witness something it had never imagined, and they were the storm that would bring it. Mara's voice came over the comms one last time, firm and unwavering. Steady, everyone. Eyes forward. Hearts strong. Let them come. Let them see what it means to underestimate humanity. Tonight we fight not just to survive, but to declare to the galaxy that humans are unstoppable. And when we are done, the stars themselves will remember us. The stars stretched endlessly before them, quiet and cold. But in the hearts of humans, a fire burned. The galaxy had underestimated them for too long, and now humanity was ready to show its full strength. The alien coalition moved like a tidal wave, thousands of ships surging toward human colonies. Their leaders believed this would be an easy conquest. They imagined terrified humans surrendering without a fight. They believed they would erase humanity before anyone could blink. But they were wrong. In the dark expanse of space, the SS Valiant led the front line of the dark matter fleet. Ships shimmered with dark energy, engines humming with power beyond imagination. Every vessel was ready, every crew member aware that they carried the weight of humanity on their shoulders. The tension was electric, a storm waiting to break. Captain Mara Liu stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the distant points of light that were enemy warships. "Hold formation," she ordered, her voice calm but commanding. "Let them come closer. They will learn too late that humans are not weak." Varel, standing beside her, looked uneasy. "Captain, the numbers, they are overwhelming. Even with the fleet, we cannot—" Mara placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "Varel, they do not know what they face. They cannot comprehend humans. Not yet." Her eyes glimmered with a mixture of sorrow and fire. "And when they do, it will be too late." The first alien ships entered the strike zone, their weapons fired, bright beams slicing through the darkness, expecting resistance, expecting chaos. But the humans did not panic. They moved in perfect coordination. Their ships bent space itself, slipping through dark matter corridors, vanishing and reappearing where the enemy least expected. Then the strike came. Mara gave the order, her voice cutting through the hum of the fleet. "Release the dark matter cannons. Fire on my command, now!" A shockwave of black energy tore through the alien front lines. Shields melted. Entire fleets were ripped apart in seconds. Ships disintegrated, leaving nothing behind but clouds of glowing particles and debris drifting in the void. The coalition had expected a fight, but what they faced was annihilation. Admiral Thane's voice came over the comms, calm and almost sorrowful. "We warned them. They underestimated humanity, and now they will pay the price." Despite the destruction, the humans did not rejoice. Every ship that vanished represented a life, even if it was an enemy. The victory was necessary, but it was not without weight. Captain Liu's eyes lingered on the holographic display, where thousands of alien vessels had simply ceased to exist. Her hand shook slightly, not from fear, but from the burden of power. Even as they fought, the humans maintained order. Every maneuver was precise, every strike deliberate. They were a force of nature, unstoppable and terrifying, yet controlled. The aliens, who had once laughed at human unpredictability, now realized the truth. Humans were not just strong. Humans were a storm, and storms could not be bargained with, only endured. Varel whispered, awe in his voice. "I did not understand before. Humanity, it is not a species. It is a force, something beyond calculation, beyond fear." Mara nodded, her voice low but firm. "And they will learn the hard way. This is not hate. This is survival. This is humanity defending its home, its future, its right to exist." The battle raged for hours, yet it felt like moments. Ships moved faster than thought, striking and vanishing, leaving the enemy scrambling to react. Planets that had believed themselves safe now trembled, watching the destruction unfold in orbit. Entire fleets were wiped out in flashes of dark energy, leaving the alien coalition in chaos. Yet even in victory, humanity's leaders knew the war was far from over. The galaxy had underestimated them once, and now it would remember, but the consequences would echo across light years. For every enemy destroyed, there would be survivors, observers, those who would fear and perhaps hate humans for generations. Captain Liu looked out into the endless darkness, her face illuminated by the glow of the fleet. She felt exhaustion, fear, pride, and sorrow all at once. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "We are the storm, yes, but we are also human, and that is something the galaxy cannot survive forgetting." As the first wave of alien ships burned and vanished, a silent message spread across the galaxy. Humanity had awakened, and the universe would never be the same. Stars trembled, alliances reeled, and every civilization that had dismissed humanity now faced the reality that humans were not weak. They were not to be trifled with. Humanity was the storm, and the storm had just begun. Across the galaxy, the shock waves of the dark matter fleet's first strike spread faster than light. Systems that had once felt untouchable trembled. Entire planets watched in horror as fleets disappeared in seconds, and empires that had ruled for millennia realized they had misjudged humanity. The universe that had laughed at humans now held its breath, afraid and trembling. On the bridge of the SS Valiant, Captain Mara Liu observed the aftermath. Stars, once quiet and serene, now glimmered with the residue of destroyed alien ships. Space itself seemed to shiver, as if acknowledging the power humans had unleashed. Her crew worked with grim efficiency, repairing minor damages and recalibrating the fleet's sensors, but the tension remained, thick in the air like an approaching storm. Virel, still standing near her, could hardly speak. I have never seen anything like this," he whispered. His eyes, glowing faintly in the dim light of the bridge, reflected awe, fear, and disbelief. They underestimated humanity, and now they know they cannot survive against it. Mara turned to him, her expression solemn. "They will remember," she said softly. "But they will also fear. That is the price of underestimating a species that refuses to die. Fear can be a tool, but we must not let it turn us into monsters." Even as the humans struck, the galaxy reacted. Alien councils convened in secret, desperate and terrified. Leaders whispered over secure channels, their voices tight with panic. "This cannot be happening," one said. "How can a species so small wield such power? They are not a threat. They are a force of nature." And it was true. Humanity was more than a species, they were a storm. For centuries, humans had adapted, survived, and evolved under the harshest conditions. They had endured disasters, invasions, and betrayals, yet they always rose stronger. That resilience, combined with the unstoppable power of the dark matter fleet, had created a weapon the galaxy could not predict and could barely survive. On Earth, families gathered around screens watching the events unfold. Fear mingled with pride. Mothers held their children close, whispering promises that humans would endure. Fathers clenched fists, silent but resolute, knowing their species had faced worse odds and survived. Across the colonies, humans everywhere felt it. The quiet, unshakable certainty that they were not victims, that they were the storm that no one could contain. Admiral Thane addressed the Terran High Command via secure hologram. His tone was calm, but the weight of his words carried the gravity of history. "The galaxy has misjudged us for too long. They believed humans were weak, that we could be ignored or destroyed. Today they learn the truth. We are not to be underestimated. We survive, we endure, and when necessary, we strike with precision that leaves no doubt. The galaxy will remember humanity, not for fear alone, but for the force we have become." But even in victory, humans did not celebrate. Captain Liu walked among her crew, seeing the weariness etched on their faces. Every strike, every destroyed ship carried consequences. Lives were lost even if they were enemies. Every act of power weighed on the conscience of those who wielded it. Mara paused before the viewport, looking at the distant stars. "We fight to survive," she whispered. "Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to exist, to protect what is ours, and to ensure that no one forgets the strength of humanity." Across the alien empires, whispers turned to fear, and fear turned to panic. Systems once confident in their security now evacuated. Fleets scattered in disarray and alliances fractured under the pressure. A species that had been mocked and underestimated was now a living legend, unstoppable, unpredictable, and terrifying. Virel, still at Mara's side, finally spoke with a mixture of reverence and fear. "They do not understand humans. They cannot. They think we are fragile. But fragility is not weakness. Humanity bends, survives, adapts, and when pushed to the edge, humanity becomes a storm that no one can stop." Mara nodded, feeling the weight of his words. "Yes," she said quietly. "The galaxy will never recover from this. Not because we sought revenge, but because we showed what humanity truly is. And this is only the beginning." As the dark matter fleet regrouped, the stars seemed darker, the silence heavier. Across the galaxy, civilizations watched in trembling awe. Humanity had struck first, and the message was clear. Underestimate them at your own peril. The galaxy had learned painfully and permanently that humans were no longer just a species, they were a force of nature. And nature, once awakened, could never be silenced. The galaxy had felt the shock of humanity's power. Entire fleets had vanished in the first strike of the dark matter fleet. Worlds that had once considered humans insignificant now trembled at the mere mention of their name. And yet aboard the SS Valiant there was no celebration, no triumphal cries. Humanity had a purpose beyond fear. It was survival, honor, and the quiet strength that had carried them through countless trials. Captain Mara Liu walked through the corridors of the ship, observing her crew. Every officer, every pilot, every engineer moved with precision, their minds focused but their hearts heavy. They had seen the destruction, the alien fleets erased with a few calculated strikes. And though the humans had emerged victorious, they understood the cost of wielding such power. Virel followed silently, his glowing eyes reflecting awe and unease. "Captain," he said finally, "you are merciless. Yet, there is something different about humans. You destroy, yes, but not for revenge, not for conquest. You fight to survive, and for that, I am beginning to understand you." Mara nodded, her gaze distant. "Virel, humanity has survived countless catastrophes. We have faced disease, famine, war, betrayal. Each time, we have risen. But survival alone is not enough. We must fight with purpose, with morality, or else we risk becoming the very monsters we fight against." Across the fleet, communications buzzed. Human colonies reported renewed attacks from smaller alien forces, desperate remnants trying to regroup. The dark matter fleet responded with precision, eliminating threats while minimizing unnecessary destruction. Every strike was deliberate, every maneuver calculated. Humans had the power to annihilate, but they wielded it with discipline and restraint. Admiral Thane's voice resonated across the comms, calm yet commanding. "Humanity is not a conqueror. We are the guardians of our existence. Every act of force is measured. Every strike is justified. The galaxy may fear us, and they should. But fear does not make us cruel. Strength without purpose is meaningless. Our purpose is survival, and the protection of our own." On Earth, families felt the tension as well. Mothers hugged their children, whispering promises of safety. Fathers gripped their hands tightly, feeling the burden of a species fighting for its future. Across every colony, humans prepared for the battles that were sure to follow. Humanity did not hesitate. They did not panic. They adapted, evolved, and endured, as they always had. Captain Liu returned to the bridge, her eyes scanning the vast expanse of space. The dark matter fleet pulsed with power, each ship a living testament to human ingenuity. The engines hummed, the dark energy flowing through them like a heartbeat. Humanity had become more than a species. It had become a force, unstoppable, precise, and enduring. Virel watched her, admiration evident in his voice. "I have fought in wars for centuries," he said softly. "I have seen countless empires rise and fall. Yet humans are different. You survive when all else fails. You fight not for glory, not for dominion, but because you must. That is power beyond anything I have known." Mara allowed herself a small smile, though her heart felt heavy. "We are not invincible, Virel. Every battle we fight brings risk, every victory carries weight. But we do not falter. Humanity does not yield. We endure because we must, and because we believe in what we fight for. Hope, love, life. These are our true weapons." Even as smaller alien forces launched desperate attacks, the humans met them with calculated efficiency. Ships moved faster than thought, striking where enemies least expected, and vanishing before retaliation could occur. Entire armadas crumbled before the might of the dark matter fleet. And yet, human soldiers paused to ensure that those who surrendered were spared. Power was absolute, but mercy was a choice. Admiral Thane addressed the fleet once more. "Humanity is the storm the galaxy cannot ignore. We fight because we must, but we do not forget who we are. Strength is not cruelty. Power is responsibility, and as long as we endure, the galaxy will remember that humans are not to be underestimated. We are the storm that survives, the force that adapts, the spirit that cannot be broken." Captain Liu looked out into the void, her heart heavy but resolute. The galaxy feared them now, and for good reason. But humans did not seek fear. They sought survival and the chance to live, to grow, and to protect all that they held dear. And in that determination, in that unyielding spirit, humanity's true strength shone brighter than any weapon. It was their will to endure no matter the cost. The dark matter fleet glimmered under the distant stars, alive with energy, ready for whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. Humanity had proven its strength, and it had proven it could wield that strength with purpose. And even as the stars trembled, one truth was clear. The galaxy had never faced anything like humanity before, and it would never recover from the storm that was now awake. The galaxy held its breath. Every empire that had once dismissed humanity now faced the inevitable truth. Humans were unstoppable. The remaining alien coalitions had gathered their forces in a desperate attempt to resist. But desperation cannot match precision, courage, and the fire of a species that refuses to die. Captain Mara Liu stood on the bridge of the SS Valiant, her eyes scanning the approaching fleets. "All units prepare for final engagement," she commanded, her voice steady. "We fight not for conquest, not for revenge, but for every life that has ever called the stars home." The dark matter fleet pulsed with raw energy, ships shimmering with blackened light, engines vibrating with a deadly rhythm. Every crew member knew the stakes. Humanity had already shown what it could do, but the final battle would prove what humans were willing to endure to protect themselves and to survive. Virel, standing beside Mara, whispered, "Captain, they are ready. They know the power they face, yet they still come." Mara's expression hardened. "Let them come. It will be their last mistake." She paused, glancing at the stars. "And we will show them what it means to underestimate humanity." The first clash erupted with terrifying intensity. Alien ships fired their most advanced weapons, energy beams cutting through the darkness. But the humans were faster, smarter, and more adaptable. Ships bent space, appearing and disappearing unpredictably, striking with deadly precision. Entire alien armadas dissolved into nothingness in the blink of an eye. Admiral Thane's voice carried over the comms, calm yet commanding. Remember, humanity is more than technology. It is courage. It is resolve. Fight for life. Fight for hope. Fight for everything that makes us human. The battle raged across countless star systems. Planets trembled. Moons cracked under the force of unleashed weapons, and distant stars flared as dark matter energy tore through fleets. Even the most seasoned alien commanders could not comprehend the precision, speed, and relentlessness of the humans. They had underestimated the storm, and the storm had arrived. Captain Liu coordinated her fleet with unmatched skill, each maneuver calculated to maximize impact while minimizing unnecessary destruction. "Strike here, vanish, reform the formation," she ordered. "Leave no gaps, no hesitation." Her crew obeyed without question, their hearts in perfect unison, guided by instinct, training, and the will to survive. Despite the devastation, humanity's leaders remembered their purpose. When enemy ships surrendered, humans accepted it. When civilians were trapped in combat zones, humans risked themselves to evacuate them. Power was absolute, but humanity tempered it with compassion. This was their strength, their difference, and the reason they would endure when others could not. Hours passed like minutes. The alien forces faltered, morale shattered by the unstoppable precision and courage of the humans. Entire coalitions disintegrated under the relentless assault. Yet every human felt the weight of the destruction they caused. Victory was necessary, but it was not without consequence. Lives were lost, even if enemy lives. Every star they fought among bore witness to the cost of survival. Finally, the last alien fleet moved into position, desperate and defiant. Mara clenched her fists. "All ships focus fire, do not falter. Humanity will not yield." A wave of dark matter energy surged across the battlefield, tearing apart alien ships with a force beyond comprehension. Engines exploded, shields collapsed, and entire fleets disintegrated into particles of light and debris. When the dust settled, silence dominated the void. The galaxy had been remade by the force of humanity. Captain Liu leaned against the viewport, exhaustion heavy in her bones. She saw the remnants of the alien fleets scattering into the darkness, defeated, humiliated, and fearful. "It is done," she whispered. "We survived, and they know the truth. Humanity cannot be destroyed." Admiral Thane's voice echoed softly over the comms. "We became the storm the galaxy feared. But we fought as humans, with courage, with purpose. Never forget that. Our power is meaningless without the will to endure." Virel, gazing at the wreckage of once proud alien fleets, finally understood. "Humans, you are not just strong. You are a force of nature. Nothing can withstand you when your spirit is united." Mara allowed herself a small, weary smile. "We survive not because we are perfect," she said softly. "We survive because we refuse to yield, because we fight for what matters, and because we carry hope when others have none. That is humanity's strength, and it cannot be defeated." Across the galaxy, civilizations trembled at the power they had witnessed. They had underestimated humans for too long, and the cost of that mistake was absolute. Humanity had shown its strength tempered by morality, and no empire would dare challenge it again without fear. The dark matter fleet glimmered against the stars, a living testament to human ingenuity, courage, and determination. Humanity had endured, and humanity had triumphed. And even as the stars shone cold and distant, one truth remained clear. The galaxy had never faced anything like humanity before, and it would never recover from the storm that had been unleashed. The galaxy was silent. Stars that had once glittered with confident light now shone over empty battlefields. Worlds scarred by the power humans had unleashed. Entire fleets were gone. Alliances had collapsed. Civilizations that had mocked humanity now trembled in fear, unsure if they could even survive in the shadow of the storm that had been humanity. On the bridge of the SS Valiant, Captain Mara Lu looked out at the darkness, her face pale under the cold light of distant stars. Her hands rested lightly on the console, but her heart felt heavy. Humanity had survived, had triumphed, but at a cost that no one could forget. The galaxy would never be the same. Virel, still beside her, broke the silence. "Captain," the galaxy, "it has learned the truth. They will never underestimate humans again." Mara nodded slowly. "Yes," she said softly, "but they will also fear us. And fear is a dangerous companion. We must remember who we are. Even when the universe trembles at our strength, we are not conquerors, we are survivors, and we must carry that truth even in victory." Across the human colonies, people began to rebuild. Communications networks flickered back to life. Survivors on distant worlds shared stories of courage and resilience. The humans had not sought conquest, yet the galaxy now recognized them as a force that could not be challenged lightly. Fear had not broken them. It had strengthened their resolve. Admiral Thane addressed the Terran High Command and the crews of every ship in the Dark Matter fleet. His voice carried through the comms, calm, proud, and resolute. "We have endured the impossible. We have faced empires that thought they could erase us, and we have prevailed. Humanity is not perfect. We are not invincible, but we are united, strong, and relentless. The galaxy will remember our courage, our determination, and our refusal to bow. And as long as we endure, we remain the storm no one can stop." Captain Liu turned to her officers. "Look at what we've achieved, not for glory, but for survival. We fought with honor, with morality, with the strength of our hearts. That is what makes us human. That is what makes us unstoppable." Virel watched the humans around him. He had served in countless wars, seen civilizations rise and fall, yet he had never encountered anything like them. "Your people, you fight not just with weapons but with your spirit. That is something the galaxy cannot endure or forget." Mara allowed herself a small smile. She remembered Earth, the gentle wind through the trees, the laughter of children, the quiet beauty of a home untouched by war. That was what they had fought for. Not conquest, not power, not revenge, but the chance to live, to grow, to protect everything they loved. Across the galaxy, alien empires rebuilt slowly, fearful and cautious. They whispered of humans, once dismissed as weak, now remembered as a force of nature. Histories would be rewritten. Generations would grow up knowing the name of humanity not with disdain, but with fear, awe, and reluctant respect. And yet, for all the power they had displayed, humans did not revel in fear. They mourned the lives lost, even enemy lives. They celebrated not destruction, but endurance. Every star, every planet, every human life mattered. The dark matter fleet pulsed quietly in orbit, alive with energy. But its purpose remained clear: to protect, to endure, and to remind the galaxy that humanity's strength was not only in its weapons, but in its will to survive, its courage and its morality. Captain Liu looked at Virel one last time. "We are not monsters," she said. "We are humans. We endure, we protect. We fight because we must. And no matter what the galaxy throws at us next, we will survive. Humanity always survives." Virel bowed his head in respect. "Then the galaxy will never be the same. Humans, you are more than a species. You are a storm, and storms cannot be tamed." Mara turned back to the stars, feeling a quiet sense of both sorrow and triumph. The galaxy had been reshaped, civilizations humbled, and humanity had proven that it could not be underestimated. Yet in the hearts of every human aboard the fleet there was hope. Hope for a future where they could rebuild, where they could protect their worlds, and where they could live knowing they had faced the impossible and survived. The dark matter fleet shimmered in the void, calm now, a sleeping giant that had reminded the galaxy of humanity's true power, and in the hearts of humans everywhere a single truth burned brightly. Humanity had become the storm that shook the galaxy, and the universe would never forget it. The stars seemed quieter now, but in the silence humanity's pulse could be felt, a rhythm of courage, resilience, and unyielding spirit. They had survived. They had triumphed, and the galaxy would never recover from the storm that was humanity.